today, and if you have questions, please go ahead. Because tomorrow, I think there will be presentations on political ecology. And I got one or two emails from students. They had some doubts and queries. I think I clarified Roshan's doubt, but there were doubts by other students. Like I think the first group, who are the people who are there in the first group who would be introducing political ecology tomorrow? Are you there?
Yes, ma'am. I'm there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Sorry. You can talk now. Yes, Roshan, did you say something?
No, ma'am. I mean, I just said I'm there.
Yes. So the first group, the first two like the students.
Yes, ma'am.
Just 1 minute.
Ma'am, it was Sukandha and Saika.
Just 1 second. Group 1 and 4. Yes. Yes. So, Shoykot and Sugan, you had some questions, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I asked you to call me, but you did not get me or what?
Yes, ma'am. I tried, but at that point it was not connecting, and after that I did not.
Okay.
But I discussed it with my teammates, and we now have a better idea of what to do, and we are working on the PPT.
Is it better now?
Yes, ma'am. I discussed this with Roshan and other teammates, and now we have a better idea.
All right. So if you have further queries, you can please go ahead and ask me, because today we have the class with us, so we can use today's slot, for any kind of queries and doubts, etc.
All right, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. So other students are also here. So then the Dawn, the global context, Kaushik and Vaishnavi, are you there? The roots, Marxian influences, Roshan and Arpit.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Arpit?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So the topic is all right for you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
And both of you have to talk all of you have to talk for 5 minutes, because 10 minutes for the group, for two of you, and you could divide it amongst yourself, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And 10 minutes, it's not that it's small amount of time. So if you can, no. So if you can, class. So if you can, for example, utilize this 10 minutes, it's a lot of time actually. So things can be very compact. And 6 major walks. I'm sorry, there is a typo. It should be why are they path breaking? It should not be what. 6 major walks. I'm very sorry for this time. Why are they path breaking? So Dhruv and Abhishek.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the topic is all right for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm really looking forward to the 6 major works that you would be choosing from amongst this, gamut of political ecology literature.
Yes, ma'am. Work on.
Yes. So then the next group 4, and there is a continuity, of course, and you can see that there is a structure also. The way it has been arranged, so you can see a structure. Pratyush and Karthik, water political ecology beyond the question of availability. Pratyush and Karthik, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So what are the readings that you are following for this topic?
Ma'am, I have searched Google also.
Be a little louder. I cannot hear you properly.
I have searched in Google and also in YouTube also I have searched.
So did you also watch the video presentation on water particle ecology of water by me? An NPTEL video that is there in the readings folder?
No, ma'am, I have not watched that yet.
Definitely take a look into that, because I think I put some efforts that time.
Yes, one of my group member told me about that, and I will watch it today.
Okay, okay. And put your efforts. It's not, don't think it to be a 10 minutes presentation. Right. Because you are getting 10 minutes to present your work, but it should not, the whole idea is that, your efforts should be there. Right. So just don't prepare it like that, just 10 minutes of presentation, it's over. It's not like that. It has to be there. It needs to stay with you. So, the preparation should be good. There has to be legwork. And of course, from by watching the presentation, and not only me, all others who would be looking, taking a look into presentation and listening to your presentation, people would immediately understand, how much of hard work has gone into it. So a bit of hard work definitely needs to go into this, because the way roughly I am planning to kind of divide or I'm planning to distribute the 100 marks so far as evaluation is concerned. So this has a weightage. So for example, group assignments, I think like at least 30 to 40 marks will be there on this. Not only the write-up, not only the presentation, but also the write-up, because you also need to send me a write-up, right? All the details are there. If you check the email that I had sent you regarding your this group presentations and assignments on political ecology for group 1 and group 4, you will see that there are like general information. There are some details about how you need to prepare this, right? So each group will work on a report. So they have to finally submit a report to us by and on 20th February. And there are a couple of plans. So for example, one major plan is that we are trying hard to really come up with our website, which is Environmental Society in South Asia. And some of the best assignments can also really make space to that website, because that website, it will have a section called Perspectives, Pedagogies and Praxis. There are lots of plans, but things have to be done very slowly and steadily, because we cannot rush on this. Otherwise, many such projects, they see the light of the day, but after some time, these projects just vanish away. So that's not our ideas. That is why we are being a bit slow, because a whole lot of discussions and brainstorming sessions are going into this. But now we are quite prepared. And the idea is that, as I am connected to some networks, of course, some of the very good and best networks in or of environmental humanities, because environmental humanities is a very it's an emerging domain, as I had already mentioned you. And the best institutes and organizations that pursue environmental humanities, for example, Rachel Carson Center, Munich, then the Oslo Institute, Norway, the Stockholm Resilience Center, Sweden. So I'm a bit fortunate in that way, because I'm connected to all of them, because I'm also like an alumnus of RCC, and also of course connected to Stockholm Resilience Center and Oslo Institute and many other institutes, that also specialize in specific domains. For example, socio-hydrology, TU Delft. So the idea is that to now actually, pull or rather optimize on this pool of experts and expertise, and get connected as much as possible. And there is still very less literature on South Asia. It's not that South Asian literature, is not getting published. South Asian works are not getting published, but the way environmental humanities need to package it, that packaging and those things are missing. So there has to be some kind of a collective endeavor through which the transdisciplinary network on environmental humanities focusing on South Asia can actually get a lot of limelight. So the website will be our mouthpiece, so the mouthpiece of the environmental humanities research group or the research team. And definitely I have plans to, of course, open part of it, provide space, good amount of space to creative projects and assignments of my students, of like the BTech breadth students at KG. Because the idea is that at some point of time, if we can produce good results, if we can produce very good results in the next 3 years, then we can also get a DOI status assigned for us, and this platform can also get a DOAT status and gradually an ECM. So that's the dream, that's the aspiration. So that is why I'm saying all these things, because I have been quite fascinated with some of the assignments and projects that my students, like for example your like previous batches actually did under me, and those, like, they were brilliant, honestly. Some of these assignments for sure. So I'm very creative, very innovative with wider reach, because environmental humanities does not want it to get restricted and to be just pursued within restricted frontiers. There's a whole lot of scope. So why should not school students, they should, why should not they get exposure to environmental humanities? Right, because honestly, when I see the school textbooks on environmental sciences, that, for example, like students standards 3, standard 5, the kind of textbooks that they use, or the schools use for these students, school students, these books really are quite underdeveloped. And honestly, the whole idea of environment, what environment is all about, why should we really care for our environment? The critical age remains missing. So you can ask me that, they are small, they're small kids. So how can you, kind of, do you expect that the students should learn political ecology? Do you think that they should learn power? Do you think that, they should be exposed to this kind of critical concepts? So my answer to this would be yes. Yeah, I really feel that yes, from school level only, environmental humanities should be pursued in a very critical way. So whether you name it as environmental humanities or ecological sciences or whatever, that is not important. But what is important is that your connection with nature, or the society-nature relationship, nature-society interactions, how should we understand it? Because, it is absolutely related to our lives, livelihoods, mindset, the way we operate, everything. Because we are being shaped by the Anthropocene. There is no doubt about it. So, yes, so that was the reason, that is the background of this long lecture. So what I expect from you, and let me just place my expectations very frankly. So what I expect from you is that I know that if you put a bit of effort, the kind of things that I expose you to, and my other group members will be exposing you to, and every time I've seen how you actually make lemonade out of lemons. So my request before you is that please make lemon out of lemons. We want to learn from you. And the way you understand, and the way you add insights, you add your reflections, you bring your knowledge, to these kind of concepts like socio-ecological system, like resilience. It's just amazing. So, for example, I got class highlights from whom? Through Snigdha or what? Snigdha, did you send me the class highlights on this political ecology, methodological commitment, and those things?
Yes, ma'am.
Snigdha and Omi, right? Omi is not there. No, Omi is not here today. No. So anyway, so Snigdha and Omi, I really enjoyed, the way they explained it, and very technical. Very technical. So they use terms like sensor. Sorry, Snigdha, correct me if I'm wrong. Like things like sensor and effectuation, actuation, feedback loops, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So I really enjoyed that. That document. I'm going through that document. So that is what my expectations are all about. So my only request is that that when when assignments are being given to you, be a bit serious on this, because this is something which I am more interested to put the maximum weightage on, honestly. Because I'm not interested in the MCQs or the class tests. Because I give you a question paper, you copy and paste it, and you consult the internet, and you get full marks. That's fine. But you do not learn anything out of it. But this is something, group assignments, when you are presenting and when you are sending your report, and in that report, when I see part by part all the different components, and then the whole theme or the thematic area that you are working on, and then the report comes up. And this is a 15-page report, for example, right? Or 8,000, yes, 8,000 to 10,000 report, a good report. where you have analyzed, you have put your efforts to understand, these various thematic components, and you have put your examples, your way of looking into it, and then you are coming up with an analytical part. It may seem to be, to be kind of involving a bit of or an amount of hard work will go into this, but I'm putting 40 marks of weightage on this. So this is something which is very, very important, and this is something which will be there. I am going to present it for sure, and people are going to take a look. So if it's a good assignment, I mean, of course, Christoph Mock, for example, the director RCC, will be taking a look into this for sure. And we can emerge as a group. We definitely can emerge as a group, and IIT Kharagpur someday, it can be the forerunner of environmental humanities in South Asia. Honestly, I'm not faking, honestly. You just check what happened in the last 5 years. So when I launched this course in 2016, there were a lot of criticism. It was very difficult for me to make this, a civil engineer or, for example, architecture professors, big professors, to get my course approved in the Senate. There were fights, there were controversies, but I kept on fighting with them. And then the course got approved. And then, now all of us are enjoying learning a lot, exchanging. And I have plenty of other aspirations, with the domain, with the subject. And we can do this only collectively, properly if you want to do it. Otherwise, again, you'll be, for example, if I just want to pursue environmental humanities by only kind of looking into it from my own perspective, because I have certain kind of training. So then, I'll not be doing justice to the domain, because this domain has that transdisciplinary essence and flavor, right? So that is where my students, my scholars, all of us, come into the picture. So take these assignments very seriously. I'm really looking forward to these assignments and presentations. I'm looking forward to learn a lot. All of us, I think, are looking forward to each of us for learning a lot, from these assignments. So don't take it as, tomorrow, kal hai, chalo aaj raat mein thoda dekh lete. Aisa mat karo, please. So number bhi nahi milegi. I'll be very cruel, honestly. Because if you are there in class, you missed 2-3 classes, no problem. Let me know. I'm very flexible. That is fine. But if you are not serious with, with the subject, with the course, and you are learning, then it's painful. Then I'll not be very happy. And if I'm, of course, not happy, for example, if you are also not happy, then it will defeat the purpose of the whole thing. Getting it? Okay. So any question? Omi, do you have a question? Any question? I saw that some of you tried to unmute. Vaibhav, did you try to unmute?
No, ma'am.
All right. So any question?
Ma'am,
Tell me.
ma'am, actually, in the group 4, my and genome's portion was that political and apolitical perspectives. So, is it the political and apolitical perspectives of ecology, or only water ecology, or like that?
Okay, so I'll just scroll down. So after water political ecology, we have why urban political ecology? What are the key lessons? So this should be by Fabien and Ankit. So Fabien and Ankit, do you have any question?
No, ma'am. We are going through your lectures.
Okay, and Fabien and then Ankit. Ankit, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. We don't have any doubt. We have just discussed yesterday about that. Okay. All right. So if you have any doubt, you can just, because today is a very busy day, but if you still have any query, call me up. I mean, I have no option, but just call me after 8:30. Yeah. If there is any doubt, serious doubt. All right. And then apolitical versus political perspectives, fleshing out from two. No, Snigdha and Omi, Snigdha and Jenna. You can choose any 2 case studies for for validating your argument. So
Okay.
you will have an argument, right?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
For urban political ecology, should we discuss the Indian context part?
Sorry, I couldn't follow. For urban
Yeah.
political
like for urban political ecology, should we discuss the Indian context?
No, that I leave it to your discretion. That you can choose on that. I have no
Okay,
problem.
okay, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank
but what I want from you are the key lessons.
Okay, ma'am.
So there has to be a very good synthesis of the key lessons.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So yes, so Snigdha, for example, you have to basically choose the two case studies. So you will have an argument. Your argument will take a direction, right? And the direction that your argument will be taking, that has to be validated with two very strong case studies, right? Two very strong examples. And when I say strong example, I mean I don't mean it needs to be very tough. It's not that, but the example will be such that if anyone, any lay person, just get to hear or just get to learn those two case studies, immediately they will be able to understand that why apolitical or why political ecology has a better edge on over apolitical analysis. Why apolitical analysis actually can be dangerous when you are trying to understand nature society relationship. Getting it? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. So,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
okay, so choose the case studies. It can be from anywhere, from the readings, from your own phenomenological experiences, whatever it is. From your other, for example, if you have come across any particular example from your any other course, no problem. Go ahead. If you want to also convert some few things together and come up with a case study, that is also fine. Do whatever you feel like, but I just want to see that you have thought, that you should be having thoughts on it. It should not go blank. It should not be a one-way traffic. Okay, so then the final one, what every engineer needs to know about political ecology. So this should be by Kaushiki and Raja Shrikant. So Raja, are you there? Kaushiki, could you talk to Raja Shrikant?
Yes, ma'am. We had a talk yesterday and we are working on that.
Any question?
Ma'am, till now, I don't have any question as such, but if I have a query, then I'll contact you.
Yes. You contact me me after 8:30. And do you know, this title is, from where I actually borrowed this title. No, not borrowed, absolutely. I improvised this title, actually. So there's a book. You can make a Google search. So there is a book by John Bellamy Foster. And I think the book was published once. The book was published in 2010. And the name of this book is What Every Environmentalist Needs to Know about Capitalism. So what every environmentalist needs to know about capitalism. So that is the name of the book. A very powerful book, as usual, like all other works by John Bellamy Foster. So I borrowed this name. I improvised this name from there. So what every engineer needs to know about political ecology. Okay, so make this interesting as much as possible. And it can really have, make it an archival material, so that when I teach my next batches or maybe other instructors in different parts of the world, when they will be teaching their students, they can use this as a pedagogical material. Huh? Honestly, if the standard is good, if the quality is good, it will really have global exposure. I'm telling you, I'm not faking. So maybe you may think that, I'm making big claims, but we'll see. We'll see. So put your efforts in.
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Any question? Okay. Thank you. Both of you. Shrikant is not there. I cannot see him. All right. So any question by anyone? Group members or non-group members? Anything? There was a request by someone. Again, I have lost the email. I took a look, but my Zimbra exceeds. So number of times I have to delete emails, sporadically. So maybe after that, maybe it got deleted somehow, and then I couldn't trace that email anymore. So this was by someone, I'm forgetting the name, who there was a request that where you wanted to work with your class hall members or classmates, something like that, because this is your last year. So there was a request like that. Who made the request? Which group?
Well, not me, ma'am. It was me who made the request.
Yeah. So then, so send me the list of your friends' names.
Sure, ma'am. I'll send you a mail along with that.
Okay.
To go along with that mail. Okay.
So send me an email at my Gmail ID. It will be better.
Okay, ma'am. I'll send you in your Gmail ID.
Okay. So any question? Any question do you have? Have you started taking a look into the readings and maybe one or two videos? Anyone? Could you get the time to just take a look into the readings?
Yes, ma'am. For my group topic, I mean, I had a look on the political ecology handbook. Ma'am, my topic was the Marxist influences, the roots of political ecology. So I had one query. I read that chapter, critic of political ecology, where I mean, from Neil Smith's perspective, I mean, it is talked, I mean, what was the influences of Marx. So there was one quote from a book called The Production of Nature by Neil Smith. So I googled and found something like Neil Smith believed nature is produced rather than pre-given. So I wanted to, I mean, how do you see this? I mean, what do you make from this statement? I mean, I wanted to know. I couldn't understand exactly.
Right. So, this entire group of political ecologists, from Neil Smith to Eric Singer to many other people whose names you must have seen in the readings and also in those videos. You will see that one of the major commonalities in their arguments is that all of them have argued and they have shown that nature is actually manufactured, and it is malleable and it is transformable, and human beings and not only human beings but all the non-human actors also play a very important role in the shaping of nature, as nature plays an important role in the shaping of several other actors, and everything together then becomes nature, right? So I'll give you an example. So, for example, let me give an example from ecological science and the way ecological science used to, define and discuss urban ecology for a long period of time. So, if you see the history of the growth of ecology as a discipline, you will see that ecology, it was definitely a branch of natural science, and the ecologists they used to study the patterns and behaviors and processes involving the operation of different organisms, for that matter. So if you take a look into how urban ecosystems was defined by ecologists or by the discipline of ecology for a long period of time, for almost 200 years, you will see that they said that urban ecosystems, it means that there are several organisms, there are several microorganisms. So ecology or urban ecosystems imply the awareness and understanding about the functioning of these organisms. Like, the ecologists, they used to conduct like very detailed investigations on the behavioral pattern of these organisms, the way webs were formed, and those kind of things. In 1920, in Chicago, there were some sociology. Sociology was making its mark during that time. And so but it's a little older subject as well. But in 1920s, in Chicago, this group of urban sociologists, they pointed out that, if you just study the behavioral pattern of organisms and all, and you say, this is sufficient for understanding urban ecosystem, you are actually not using comprehensive framework. You are not comprehensively looking into this at all. So where is the role of human beings? Urban is so like, how do I say, like urban cannot stand by itself. Urban is not an independent phenomenon. Urban, absolutely it involves and it includes, it comprises the activities of the human beings. Otherwise, how could cities have been formed? Right. Now, wouldn't you regard nature as or city as part of nature? What is a city? Do you think like when human beings are actually making the urban or producing the urban, manufacturing the urban, how are they doing this? It is not antithetical or separate from nature, because cities are getting carved out from nature. So take, for example, I specialize in delta cities. So, for example, Kolkata. Kolkata has been carved out and reclaimed from the tidal swamp of the marshy area, the entire marshes, the entire interfluvial tidal marshes, which stretched from just, the region from where Ganga had a lower course, the beginning of the lower course, and the entire, the Bangladesh region, Odisha, the whole area. And in the southern part, there are like swamps and marshes in the form of Sundarbans, what is called Sundarbans today. So Kolkata as a city has been actually carved out from these marshes. So then how can you say that city is actually not nature? And then how can you say that nature is actually not produced? And when, for example, Kolkata was born, then definitely, the people who planned Kolkata, so for example, British took a very important role, played a very important role in the formation of Kolkata, because Kolkata is a colonial city. The first thing, what do you think is the first thing that planners try to take a look into when they plan a city? What do you think, how the site selection or how the choice is made? Any idea? Who would like to jump in?
Ma'am, the soil or
Okay. All right. What else?
And food facilities and transportation.
All right. What else?
Ma'am, it should be close to rivers and other natural sources of water.
Why so?
But not enough that the water level rises and it will submerge the city.
Okay. So yes. Thanks, Pranav. And Anand, why it has to be near the river? Near a river?
I think all cities, historically speaking, have been established close to rivers so that it is a permanent and easy source of water for everybody.
So it is called the water in, water out system. So if you are planning a city, the first thing you have to take a look into is that whether you have already mapped the water in, water out system or not. So what is this water in, water out system? So the source from where the city is drawing its water, and where the space where it is actually disposing its wastewater or waste effluent, right? So so now if a city or the planners first try to take a detailed look and have a detailed understanding of the water in, water out system, based on which they actually make the decision, they initiate the decision, then the idea that cities are cities, they're concrete, they're compact, they're infrastructures, and infrastructures mean only like non-natural or anti-natural phenomenon. This is a wrong way of looking into cities, right? Somebody said transport. Snigdha said transport, right? So transportation. So how the transportation cost of a city can go down if you have a good canal system. And what is this canal system? Yes, I understand that they are manipulated by or they are the way canals are excavated. They can be artificial excavation, but at the same time there is the fundamental natural basis to this. So from where are you actually digging canals? So there has to be, or there need to be like water sources for sure. Right? And the way cities also use marshlands to dispose wastewater. There are some controversies on that. Sometimes cities also manage quite well. Sometimes utilizing wastewater, cities also kind of generate ecosystem services. Lot of variations are there. And it is on these variations and on these equations that a city can be sustainable in a long term and a city can become truncated in the long term. So the way a city actually has a kind of a relationship, has a relationship with nature, and the way this relationship goes on, that determine the Yes, sorry. So, on this relationship, actually, the sustainability of a particular city is actually determined. Yes. So, Roshan, I have not, completed addressing your question, but do you get clues?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Understood.
Okay, can you complete it now?
Yes, ma'am. So basically, I mean, everything, I mean, what is being constructed or anything, I mean, this is also part of the nature. So it is changing according to, I mean, what we are doing, I mean, as a human beings to the environment. So that's why, I mean, it's like nature is produced rather than pre-given.
Right. So and it's a very dynamic system.
Yes, ma'am.
So they always you should include the variable of time. Time is a very important variable. Temporality. So, and if you include or accommodate the parameter of time, then you can immediately understand the dynamicity of the system. Getting it? So that is why political ecology, puts a lot of emphasis on this. Now you can tell that there were nature before the coming of human beings, there were nature before the coming of several other organisms and actors, etc. But we are not talking of that nature.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because that's long time back, and that is not into our discussion right now. But I should also mention that there are also some people. There is a group now who are working with deep time. So, and deep time actually confuses a lot of things, and it's a bit difficult. Honestly speaking, I have not been able to kind of consolidate my grip on the kind of arguments that this deep time propounders come up with. But it's not that they contradict with what political ecology is trying to say. But their like understandings are at a different level because they are discussing deep time and bringing into cosmic things and those things. So that's a different genre and a different area altogether. But right now in this class, we are mainly focusing on a lot on Anthropocene and the Holocene as its prelude or the backdrop. Is that all right?
Yes, ma'am. And also, like, I wanted to discuss, you told us to write, I mean, on floods. So, on the basis of political ecology. So, for this political ecology, I mean, relating it to political ecology, I had searched for, every year there are floods in May or June in Bihar and Assam. So these are the most flood prone zones in India.
Yes.
So I had looks like mostly people, what will people say? I mean, the floods are generally because there are high mountains to the north of Bihar in Nepal, and so I mean at high speed then many rivers from the mountains, they flow into the Ganga, and so the river level, I mean, rises above. But if we have a deeper look into it, so what we can see that these rivers that are flowing from a height, they erode the soil a lot in its path and accumulate silt along the way. So this actually causes the riverbed level to increase and thus decreasing the capacity of water in these rivers. So now this soil erosion, this is actually happening at a very large scale and much due to deforestation.
Yes.
Because loose soil gets eroded easily, and the soil in forest regions actually is, I mean, very tight. It doesn't erode easily.
Yes.
So also according to the data, I mean, the Brahmaputra river in Assam, it accumulates around 2.2 million tons of sediments per day. So like this I saw from the net. And yeah, so I had seen you were talking about urban planning and all. a bit a few moments ago. So I had seen one thing for solving this problem. So there is a concept like sponge city, the design of sponge city in urban areas. So in a sponge city, like in urban areas, too much water is wasted on a daily basis, which goes into the rivers. Even this contributes hugely to the floods. In sponge cities, we can have several small ponds or reservoirs where these wastewater will be collected, and this will be used for different purposes where fresh water is not required, not necessary. Also, in sponge city, the roads are designed to be porous, and this reduces waterlogging, and also this water is drained into these same ponds and reservoirs, and also afforestation. So I mean, these things I just saw. So this sponge city concept.
Exactly. So thank you very much, Roshan, for taking for going through this data, and you were mentioning about ponds, pond cities, and porous roads, right? Bengal, and Bengal, when I say Bengal, it's not only Bengal, West Bengal that we understand today, but it's Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. And when it's Bengal, it also definitely included Bangladesh. So I'm talking about colonial Bengal, or pre-colonial Bengal, actually. So, and the whole entire Eastern India, the region of Eastern India. And so there's there's a British official whose name is William Wilcox. And William Wilcox, he was absolutely against the idea of the construction of the Farakka barrage in Bengal, and also in several other large-scale, big hydraulic infrastructures or hydraulic interventions, on these kind of fertile regions or fertile areas, which where the rivers tend to flow in their lower courses, right? Because Bengal already had this system, full of canals and creeks, and and during the during the summer period, they did not work because but there was no water. But when it was monsoon and when the rivers used to overflood their banks, so these canals used to become very active, right? So this system in Bengal, which actually was maintained by or rather, which is a reflection of community knowledge. So this was there for a long period of time, right? And this system was also known as overflow irrigation. Now, when the British came here, they did not understand the significance of overflow irrigation, and they thought that these canals were actually dead canals. So they did not take into consideration the presence of these canals, and they constructed railways in such a fashion that the railway lines disrupted, these canals, which otherwise used to remain defunct during the summer season, but used to play a very important role during the monsoon. So the British did not pay any heed, to the system at all. And unfortunately, after the construction of railways, within 20 years, the number of floods in Bengal increased like anything. And not only floods, but apart from that, the overflow irrigation, the mosquito larvae and all these also used to get washed out. So Bengal did not really have severe cases of malaria, etc. At least those pockets, those fertile belts. But there is a scholar called Ira Clay, who just who has written a book, entire book on this issue, that how the construction of canals actually led to disruption, construction of railway network led to disruption of Bengal's overflow irrigation, her canals mainly, and this led to the outbreak of malaria at a massive scale, in the eastern part or Bengal most specifically. And so the name of the book is Malaria and Morality in Bengal. Very interesting connection. So we already had these concepts actually, Roshan. Even Bihar. And previously I used to be, and also if you are interested, I can also send you some videos, my videos, for example, on the different water systems that were there in different parts of India. Very much in tune to the local ecological system or local ecozones for that matter. But when the British came, they standardized the whole thing, because there was technological standardization as well. And as you mentioned rightly, very rightly actually, that Northeast India, Bihar, floods, every time, you know, there are issues relating to floods, and Western India on the other hand has droughts. So, but why the floods have increased and aggravated since the last few years, and from when have the floods actually increased? You will be able to make a connection between, you know, this rigorous intervention measures, which unfortunately did not pay any reverence to the community knowledge, the local systems, the water technologies, which were very robust, but very local at the same time in specific areas, very placed, very fast. Right. So sedimentation load, of course, is there. And the GBM, Ganga, Brahmaputra, Meghna, river system, they carry the highest amount of silt if you compare it with any other system. So the sediment load is already high. But how did the people tackle floods before the coming of the British or before capitalist interventions? That itself is a very interesting topic, which I think I will be partially covering later. And for example, Bihar, Kosi floods, mainly the Kosi River, it is the major river that leads to flooding during the monsoon. And unfortunately, Kosi also saw a whole lot of intervention. Now, you can ask me that, you know, are dams always bad? So it's not like that, but you definitely have to see that, you know, who came up with this idea of damming rivers, and who have, or these projects have benefited whom, you know, and again, who are the losers. So again, if you put the political ecology framework, I think a whole lot of things will get cleared. And then, of course, when you are, because now we need to be aware of history. It's not that we can that we just see the present problem as present. No, we have to understand it by taking a very clear look into its past, because every problem is actually otherwise a wicked problem. But at the same time, we need to acknowledge catastrophe, but imagine possibilities. So when Roshan, for example, we have planned spawn cities, we can also draw a lot of inferences and take a lot of lessons and examples from the way it was there before big interventions actually started taking place on river systems. So we can draw some lessons from there. For maybe we can consult several stakeholders. So it needs to be, the whole technology itself has to be participated to a great extent. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So any other question?
Ma'am, also the porous roads, they help in replenishing the water table under the water that causes that is the main source of drinking water in at least in my place. So where the water table is decreasing, but since if we introduce porous roads, then the water can percolate below and then it will again rise up. So so like everything is interrelated, and helping one actually helps the entire other factors also, like as Roshan said that regarding the flood. So I think deforestation also helps in another way, like as I mentioned in a class before, that it increases global warming, and then melting of glaciers take place, and thereby increasing the water level. And as Roshan said today regarding the loosening of the soil particles, increase in the silt amount, and all those things. So the thing is that the water in the earth is always constant, but there is the problem arises because of the increase in the imbalance of water concentration. So that is the thing, and somehow we need to reverse this entropy that is taking entropy that is taking place.
Yes. Yes, because from day one you are actually hinting at, and rightly hinting at, you know, this cross scale, knowledge and understanding and interventions and complexities, for example. So it's a system. So here, you know, the system thinking approach I find to be very relevant. So everything needs to be understood not as a linear or something in the form of a linear progression or regression or whatever, but in the form of a wave, right? So systems, you can apply systems thinking approach to actually understand, these correlations, and they are quite complex, interactive, iterative, and of course one part of the system, if you work on it, it affects other parts, and the different parts finally make a composite whole. So that is true for sure.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, so adding to what Roshan and Snigdha have said, like I took a course on sociology last year, and there we study about Emil Durkheim. And one of the things that he says is that the sum is greater than the parts. Now, although he uses it in a sociological context, but hearing Roshan and Snigdha, what I feel is that even in environmental humanities, although under a different context, this line makes a lot of sense. Because if you attack a problem from multiple directions and you find solutions, those individual solutions might be very small, but if those solutions are targeted rightly and they work coherently, then even they can present a significant change and improvement.
So there can be a scalar impact.
Right.
Definitely. Very good that you studied Emil Durkheim. I'm very happy to know that. So yes, definitely. So that is how, that is the major way through which, you can actually be innovative in your solution strategy. The problem can be very deep. It can, the problem can have its like multifarious and multi-pronged, multi-layered nature. But you have to, actually plan your solution strategy from that perspective. So my idea, my personal idea to this is that, if you are extremely aware, of the problem, if you have a very detailed understanding and awareness of problems, of the problem, and understand the problem from the wicked problem perspective. Do you know what wicked problem is? Because I'm continuously mentioning wicked problem. Did I mention it before? Wicked problem? Anyone?
I don't recall, ma'am.
You don't remember. Anyway, so wicked problem is something, which has a lot of roots. So it's a tangled mess of thread, and you don't know which thread to actually pull first. So, and if you just provide a solution without understanding the tangledness of the problem, then maybe your solution can work for 2 years or 1 year, because you have just touched the surface level. You have not been able to touch the subsurface level, and within the next 2-3 years or maximum 5 years, the problem will come back to you again, maybe in a more aggravated form. And wicked problems, if you don't deal it properly, then they are recurrent. They will come back to you. They will recur again. So, and that is where you see, like, a lot of the engineering solutions, unfortunately, as they don't take into consideration wicked problems, because the apolitical perspective is there, and the political perspective is also missing, and several other things are also missing sometimes. And that is why, the more you have lesser understanding of the tangled nature of the problem, unfortunately, the more your solution will not going to work, or the more your solution will be manifesting its limitations or limits, right? So, but that's a good way of thinking about it, multiple solutions at multiple levels with a high impact at the end, no? But every context is different. So you have to have all these different, different kinds of understandings, very much informed by your by different other empirical contexts, and then your specific empirical context in which you are working, and then, innovative solution strategies can actually be thought upon. And it's a challenging job, but not that challenging, because if we can keep our eyes and ears and everything open, and we have to be receptive as well, a bit receptive. Our thinking should not remain restricted only, to the textbook laws and norms that are thrust upon us. It should be beyond that. Right. So, all right then. I'll meet you tomorrow, 8 sharp tomorrow, because we have the assignments. And all the very best. Give me a call if it's urgent. The query is urgent.
Ma'am, actually, I had a doubt on the conduct of the projects. So means these class assignments. So basically, you have splitted us into groups, and like within a group, like is there 2 people at a time representing on some topic? Because like our group does not have a turn for now, so I don't know exactly how that.
No, I have not assigned it yet. So, like for example, let this. So it's not that this is the only structure. There will be other structure, Aditya. I want to keep it flexible. Otherwise, it will be very monotonous.
Okay.
Every topic will have its own. Every topic will have its own way of every topic will decide, or everything will decide. How we can make the most of it. Right. I have kept political ecology like this because I covered political ecology in class, but those were full of examples. So I couldn't actually, discuss the works or several other things which I wanted to discuss, because, otherwise I will not be able to manage. So that is why I have given the task to, these 16 people.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
But you can have a different assignment altogether. I have not decided on it yet, but you will get some time. It's not that I will tell you, 2 days before, and you have to do it within the next 2 days. No. So the kind of task that I'll be assigning to you and the time that you will be given, of course, there will be justice in that scheme.
Okay, thank you.
And we will discuss. If you have any trouble, any problem, you will tell me. I will take a look. Then you can also give me some suggestions. I will reflect on that, and in that we will do it. Don't worry.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
All right then. See you tomorrow. Have a very nice and productive week.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.